Been smoking a pack a day since I was 18. By 35, it was 2 packs. My morning ritual was simple. Wake up, cough until my eyes watered, light up. My fingers were permanently stained yellow. My wife said kissing me was like licking an ashtray, but she'd been saying that for so long it had lost its sting. Then came that Tuesday. I was at my desk, reaching for the pack in my pocket when the pain hit, like someone had placed a bowling ball on my chest. The room tilted sideways. I remember my co-worker Melissa's face hovering above me, her voice distant. "Stay with us, David. The ambulance is coming." The doctor didn't sugarcoat it. "Minor heart attack. Not your last if you keep smoking." He held up my chest x-ray like a teacher disappointed with a student's homework. "See this cloudy area? That's not supposed to be there." My wife Julie squeezed my hand so hard it hurt. "I'm not ready to be a widow, David." I nodded, made promises I wasn't sure I could keep. But when I got home, I threw away every cigarette, lighter, and ashtray in the house. Cold turkey. How hard could it be? By midnight, I was sweating through my sheets. By 2 a.m., I was pacing our living room, opening and closing the refrigerator like it might magically produce a cigarette. Julie found me at dawn, sitting on our front steps in my underwear. "This is normal," she said, wrapping a blanket around my shoulders. "Your body is detoxing." "It doesn't feel normal," I muttered. "It feels like I'm dying." "That's what smoking was doing to you. This is your body fighting back." Day 3 was when the rage hit. I snapped at Julie for breathing too loudly. I screamed at a telemarketer until my throat was raw. I punched a wall and fractured 2 knuckles. "Maybe you should try nicotine patches," Julie suggested as she bandaged my hand. "I don't want a crutch," I growled. "I want to be done with it." On day 5, I broke down sobbing while watching a dog food commercial. My emotions were a live wire sparking unpredictably. I couldn't sleep. Food tasted wrong, too intense, like my taste buds were waking up from a long hibernation. My coworker Steve caught me staring at his cigarette pack during our lunch break. "One won't hurt," he said, sliding it toward me. I almost grabbed it. Almost. But then I remembered the hospital ceiling, the beep of monitors, Julie's fear-stricken face. "Actually, it will," I said, pushing back from the table. 2 weeks in, the physical symptoms began to subside. The cravings didn't disappear, but they became more manageable, like a persistent itch rather than an urgent fire. I downloaded an app that counted the days since my last cigarette and calculated money saved. I started going for walks, shocked at how quickly I'd get winded, but pleased when it gradually improved. 1 month smoke-free, Julie surprised me with dinner at my favorite restaurant. "I'm proud of you," she said, raising her glass. "But I need to know, are you doing this for me or for yourself?" I considered lying, saying it was all for her, but the truth was more complicated. "It started because I was scared," I admitted. "But now, I'm starting to remember who I was before cigarettes, and I want to meet that guy again." 6 months later, I still get cravings, but my cough is gone. Food tastes incredible. Julie says kissing me is actually pleasant now. Yesterday, I ran 3 miles without stopping.
My son Kevin is 31 years old, married to this girl Jenna for 2 years now, and honestly, I should have minded my own business. But when I walked into their kitchen last Tuesday and saw what was happening, my mama bear instincts just took over completely. I was dropping off some leftover casserole because Jenna mentioned she'd been too tired to cook lately. Nothing unusual there. I do this maybe once a week because I make way too much food for just me and my husband anyway. I used my spare key like always and called out that I was coming in. That's when I heard Kevin practically yelling at Jenna from the kitchen. He was going off about how the dishes weren't done again and how he was sick of coming home to a messy house after working all day. But here's the thing, Jenna works too. She's a nurse at the children's hospital and literally saves lives for 12 hours straight. When I walked in, Jenna was standing there with tears in her eyes, still in her scrubs from her shift, and Kevin was waving his hands around like some kind of maniac. There were maybe 3 dishes in the sink and a coffee mug on the counter. That's it, the house wasn't even messy. Something inside me just snapped. This is my son, the kid I raised to be respectful and kind, treating his wife like she's his personal maid. I set that casserole dish down so hard it made a loud bang on the counter. "Kevin James, what the hell is wrong with you?" I said, using his full name like he was still 12 years old. "Your wife just got home from saving children's lives and you're screaming at her about 3 dirty spoons?" Kevin's face went completely red. He started stammering about how I didn't understand their situation and I needed to stay out of it, but I wasn't done, not even close. I looked right at him and said, "Your father never once raised his voice at me about housework, and I was home with 3 kids under 5. Jenna works just as many hours as you do, probably more, and deals with way more stress. If you have a problem with dishes, wash them yourself." Then I turned to Jenna, who looked mortified, and told her she deserved better than being yelled at in her own home. I said Kevin needed to figure out how to be a partner instead of acting like a spoiled teenager. The whole kitchen went dead silent. Kevin was staring at me with his mouth hanging open like he couldn't believe his mom just called him out like that. Jenna was crying but trying to hide it by looking down at the floor. That's when Kevin really lost it. He started yelling at me about how I had no right to interfere in his marriage and how I was being disrespectful in his house. He said I was treating him like a child and embarrassing him in front of his wife. I shot back that he was acting like a child, so maybe that's why I was treating him like one. I told him if he wanted respect, he needed to start showing some to the woman he married. The argument got so heated that Jenna finally spoke up and asked us both to stop. Kevin stormed out of the kitchen, grabbed his keys, and left. Just slammed the door behind him like he was 16 again. Jenna and I stood there in the awkward silence, and I immediately felt terrible. Not for defending her, but for making things worse between them. She thanked me for sticking up for her, but said I probably shouldn't have gotten involved. She explained that Kevin had been stressed about some project at work, and they'd been having the same fight for weeks. She said she appreciated what I did, but was worried about how Kevin would react later. I apologized for making a scene, but told her she still didn't deserve to be talked to that way, stressed husband or not. We talked for maybe 20 minutes, and she admitted that Kevin's attitude had been getting worse lately. She'd been thinking about suggesting couples therapy, but didn't know how to bring it up. Kevin didn't come home until almost midnight, and he didn't speak to me for 3 days. When he finally called, he was furious. He said I had overstepped massively, and that I owed him an apology for embarrassing him like that. He claimed I was trying to control his marriage and that I needed to back off. I told him I'd apologize for interfering when he apologized to his wife for being a jerk. We ended up having this huge fight over the phone where he accused me of never respecting his independence and always treating him like a kid. I matched with Ashton on Hinge at midnight after my 9th terrible date in 2 months. The last guy had explained cryptocurrency for an hour straight. I was lonely, working from home alone for 8 months, and when I saw Ashton's face, my stomach dropped, but I swiped right anyway. He'd made junior year hell, mocked my thrift store clothes, told people I smelled like art supplies, tripped me in the hallway once so my sketchbook exploded everywhere. But his profile showed him holding a 3-legged cat at a vet clinic. His bio said, trying to be better than I was at 17. That line got me. He messaged the next morning. I know you remember me from school. I was a jerk. If you want to unmatch, I understand, but I'd really like to apologize in person. My roommate Bree saw the screenshot and called immediately. This is either growth or a psychopath move. I agreed to coffee anyway. Public place, afternoon, easy escape route. I got there early and almost left 3 times. When Ashton walked in, his hands were shaking, ordering his coffee. That made me less nervous, seeing he was scared too. We sat down in awful silence. Then he just said it. I'm sorry for how I treated you. I was dealing with stuff badly and took it out on you. You didn't deserve it. No excuses. No, but you have to understand. Just an apology. I asked why. What had I ever done to him? He stared at his coffee for 30 seconds. You didn't do anything. That's the messed up part. Then he said, you remember Jake Hendricks? Everyone remembered Jake. Expelled senior year for bringing vodka to school and fighting a teacher. Jake and his crew noticed you sophomore year. They'd talk about you in the locker room after gym. Disgusting stuff. Jake kept saying he was gonna ask you out, but the way he said it wasn't really a question. My stomach dropped. I overheard him one day talking about waiting for you after art club. His buddy was laughing about how you'd be easy because you were quiet. Jake had gotten a girl expelled the year before spreading lies after she rejected him. I felt cold all over. I figured if I started messing with you first, made it visible, Jake would back off. Guys like him don't cross into another guy's territory. Stupid high school hierarchy stuff. I couldn't process this. My entire junior year had been colored by Ashton's cruelty, and it had been protection. It worked for 2 months. Then Jake said something vile about you in the cafeteria when you walked past. I told him to shut up. We fought. I got suspended for 3 days. I remembered that fight. Everyone said Ashton had started it over nothing. When I came back, you wouldn't look at me anymore. But Jake moved on to someone else, so mission accomplished, I guess. I just felt like garbage about it. Why didn't you just tell me? I asked. Because I was 17 and thought I was being some kind of hero. And honestly, I was so angry about my own life that being mean felt good. My dad had left, my mom worked doubles, I was failing classes. Making you feel small made me feel less pathetic. He looked directly at me. That's what I'm actually sorry for. The intention was decent, but I was cruel about it. I made you hurt because I was hurting. We talked for 2 hours. He told me about barely graduating, hating community college, bouncing between jobs until the vet clinic where he discovered he loved animals. He'd been in therapy for a year working on his anger. I told him about art school, freelance design work, how high school had damaged my confidence for years. The chemistry was insane. He made me laugh describing a parrot at the clinic that swore only in Spanish. He asked real questions about my design process. When our hands touched reaching for sugar packets, electricity shot through me. The barista started sweeping around us. We'd overstayed closing time. Outside, we kept talking on the sidewalk for another hour. He showed me pictures of the 3-legged cat he'd rescued from a dumpster. I showed him the community center mural I was designing. When he finally said he should let me go, he asked to see me again. Not as an apology, as a real date. I said yes immediately. That was 3 weeks ago. We've seen each other 6 more times. Last Saturday, he brought me to the clinic after hours. We sat on the floor with the overnight animals while an old orange cat slept in my lap, and we talked until midnight. My boyfriend Ethan and I had been dating for 2 years when this whole thing started. We lived in this tiny apartment together and split everything pretty evenly. He'd grab groceries, I'd cook dinner, normal couple stuff. But there was always this weird thing where he'd get uncomfortable about anything period related. Like, if I left a tampon wrapper visible in the bathroom trash, he'd make this face like I'd left a dead rat there. If I mentioned cramps, he'd immediately change the subject or leave the room. I thought it was just typical guy awkwardness and figured he'd grow out of it. Then last month happened. I was at work when my period started early, which sucked because I had nothing with me. I texted Ethan asking if he could grab some pads from the store since he was